Shemai everyone, welcome back to the Athlete Climate Academy. We've got a good one for you today. We've got Fernanda Maciel, who's an Brazilian endurance runner who's got a really deep passion for protecting the environment, but also the founder of White Flow that does some amazing social and environmental projects. Fernanda, welcome to the pod.
Well, thanks so much. For me, it's a pleasure that I can share about White Flow and also about our beautiful planet.
Absolutely. So, just looking through your bio page on your website, and it made my finger hurt just like scrolling down through all of your achievements. You've got some great ones in there. Your 2020 Speed Ascent of Grand Paradiso comes to mind as a memorable one. Mount Vinson recently being another, and you've just been out to Alaska too, right? Is that for people watching on the video? Is that the broken arm we can see?
Yes, I came in out to Alaska for 2 weeks, but it was completely bad weather, and there was crevasse everywhere. And just in the camp, just 100 meters from the camp, I fell 5 meters inside the crevasse, just walking there. And I have the images because my film crew was filming, and but it's very heavy. But luckily, three friends, alpinist friends, they took me from inside. I thought I broke the arm, but it was just the bone was out of my shoulder, and then after two doctors helped me to put this on place, and now I got the helicopter to rescue me, and yeah, back to the city.
I'm glad to see you back in Chamonix safe and sound. But I saw on your Instagram you
Yeah.
were even out there that you were working with the team on some of the open cast mining that they do out there.
In the White Flow projects, so this one in Alaska was my ninth project, White Flow project. So I started in 2012 with White Flow, Caminho Santiago, and I did the Favela da Rocinha in Brazil, Nepal, run around Everest and helping some foundations there that I still helping. Then I did Aconcagua, the highest mountain in America. That was about recycling and how they work with the rubbish inside the park, the fecal west also. And then I did Kilimanjaro. Then Elbrus. Elbrus, I was helping a woman that suffered some sex violence. So they were like prostitute before, because in Russia they have many problems with the woman. So that was super nice to know about this problem with them. And then after I did the White Flow Alps, was I was helping the protect our winter in France. And then right now in December I did the White Flow in Antarctica, where I was able to run up and down the highest mountain in Antarctica in this continent. That is the Mount Vinson. Is a bit higher than Mont Blanc. Yeah, super remote, super beautiful and cold, and also close to the troposphere because you are in the South Pole, what make it more difficulty to breathe. And then there, the social part of my project was talk with many scientists. So I visit some base and I talk with lots of Brazilian scientists because you came by coincidence in the same airplane. And it was very interesting to see how all the planet, and especially Brazil that is close to the Antarctica, get influenced by all the cold air from Antarctica, but also like all the wind that's come from there in the summer heat that now is coming. So that is influencing the Amazon forest, for example. So then you start to understand a bit how some big glaciers, they are also impact ourselves. And in many countries, different countries, no? Like last year also I did the Hielo. It was like a nice project. Was I ran a traverse in Patagonia in the Hielo Continental, is the third biggest ice field in the world, and was cool to see with my eyes, like how is the glacier. I was raised, like I was running there in 5 or 6 glaciers, but this this giant piece of ice field is 300 kilometers, and there is like 49 glacier in this piece of ice. And so is that attracts so much myself. And it's cool to have this information with scientists. So in Antarctica, for example, I was helping the Antarctica Science Foundation. They are from US and also New Zealand. And it's cool if you can check their website. You can choose which project you'd like to sponsor. So, for example, I chose to sponsor the project where they analyze the seawater in Antarctica to see how the climate change is affecting some planktons. So for me, that is interesting. And then you can follow the foundation and how, if they have the result. So you pay for this project, and then after they show you what's going on. So it's super interesting.
So is that the purpose of White Flow is to link these amazing endurance and athletic achievements with these social and environmental issues, and they go together because we talk to a lot of athletes about how to get involved in these kind of things and how to use their voice to amplify this. And it seems that White Flow is a good mix of those where you can go and do an FKT and also at this in the same breath almost like use it to amplify the voices of Antarctica Science Foundation, or someone like that. Is that the real purpose of it?
Yes, I'm from Brazil, so I'm from a country that you see so much people that need help. The environment need help. This is the why I was environment lawyer. I was lawyer, and then I dedicate my professional focus in the environment of my state. So when I was lawyer in Brazil, work for my state, I was working against the industry and mines that explore and make some pollution in the mountains. No, so this is the why. When I came to live in Europe in 2008, 9, I was missing because there I help so much, and I'm so involved with recycling projects and then I said, okay, so running is so individual. I feel like a bit egoist to be a runner because it's okay if I inspire people, but for me that is like it's just a consequence. I don't do that, like I feel egoist because running is an individual sport, and just myself can be happy or sad if I race. So I said, okay, so I miss some projects that I like, very tough projects, almost impossible for me to achieve because I'm a super challenged person. And I love this almost impossible challenge for myself, personal. But also, I wanted to check, like, in this place that I'm going to run, if they have problems, how can I help them? And then I said, okay, so the first was Carmen Santiago, was I was helping children with cancer in Brazil and in Spain, some foundations. And that was worked super well because I was able to visit them and to help them. And then from that, I was like, okay, so that is like giving me so much happiness. I feel like so much complete sharing this compassion and sharing my passion about running. And then they share with me what's going on, the problem they have, or so that this is the why since then, since 2012, so now it's 11 years, I started these projects. And yeah, and I keep it going because for me it's super cool, and also like some people they love to watch, and to get involved also. And it's a super nice to see the community also involving, also from the place because they are curious, like they have curiosity to know who I am and why I'm doing that and why I'm helping. And yeah, and myself to share what's the work they are doing there.
You mentioned that you worked as an environmental lawyer. back in Brazil. How do you think that that's shaped how you think about environmental injustice and how we go about working with people to create better social and environmental situations?
Well, there are so many people they are involved on that, and I think some of them they just they need more support because it's super hard for these foundations to keep fighting. You know, for example, right now I just came from Alaska, so before I was going to Alaska, I was studying about the indigenous tribes. It's cool that I saw that they have support, super good support from the government, and I said like, wow, that is great because it's so much difference from the indigenous tribe from my country. So and I said like it's a completely difference. And I found in Alaska, for example, that all the community in there um, they are fighting against this giant mine that they want to put beside this giant lake, the bay. And if they put this the mine there, if they start this mine there, you destroy all the salmon because there is like a specific place to have salmon. And if you don't know, in Alaska is the number one fish, is the number one protein for all the people. Everybody fish there. So if this mine is there, just like kill all the culture, all the lifestyle of these Americans, and the most important is like all the fishes and like the environment. So it's super interesting for me to get involved and just like to support them, you know. And I think for our running community, I think that is very specific, you know. It's um, each one can work in somehow. I think when it's super important to touch your heart, you know, and your conscience, but like your heart, like, okay, so what I want to help, and because it's not mandatory for us to help, but right now it's kind of, I feel that it's mandatory for me to help, you know.
Yeah, and it's something that, in my country, in Wales, we have a very long history of coal mining, and it's easy to see that that is something in the past that I think now coal has been relegated down in energy to like a very historic style. But it's still, even in my country, they're trying to open new. We've just managed to get the open cast mine rejected and blocked, so that they can't have an extension to it. But there are others that might get that extension. It's still very, very relevant and very present. This people are still trying to open new oil fields, coal fields, even though we know that even with the fossil fuels that we already have open, the open cast mines, closed mines, and the oil fields, that'll already push us over the Paris Agreement. We don't need any more of those. So I remember being in a training session with you last year, I think it was, and I talked about how there's two different people in the world. There's people who think like scientists, who come up with all the evidence and all the observations, and they make a conclusion based on that. And I said that there are lawyers who come up with the conclusion, and then they find the evidence to back up that conclusion. And then I think there are pros and cons to both of them. And I think it just goes to show that in this fight, that we're going to need people like you who go out and find that evidence and work with people to come to the conclusion that we know is right, that there's a good social and environmental impact. And then people who are the scientists. And it's great that you're working with both types of people who go out there and find the evidence, and people who go out there and act on it as well, just like you.
Yeah, it's hard to us because um, to have some action because as a lawyer, I this is why also I left my work as a lawyer because it's so much politic. You cannot have the power. So so some mines, some industries, like they will keep appears and working. So the compensation, the balance to have them exploring and what they are giving us need to be like a very good balance. But because it's politic, it's super hard to have this balance. So depend of the rules, the laws of the country, and also the president, what he does for the community, for all the country. So that's why for us, like, because you are this level, no, you are not in high level as the politics. I think you need just to try to get like more information. If you scientists, if you have the opportunity, more information. It's just like everything's in Google now. Do you know? If you want that, it's lots of foundations. They are doing like very good work. Some of them no, but some yes. So make sure that you can get involved, and they really need like more people, you know, and especially us runners, trail runners, because we love mountains, and I think it's what you can show, you know, for our followers. Like I run almost 10 times Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc, and I had like so much succeed victories, but what I really wanted to share, it's for this next generation, is the love that we have for the mountain, you know, is this passion. This is the why I run on the mountain, not on the road. So I really hope that the new generations, they can learn and they can keep this passion, you know. It's not just like about the watch, it's like how I can involve it. I love mountains, is the why I run there, and how can I protect what I can do. You know, I think it is for our community. It's super important.
One of those ways of protecting it is working with activist groups like Protect Our Winters. And I know you work with Protect Our Winters Global, Protect Our Winters France as well. And I work alongside those too, and they're really good at taking like all the education that we build around with things like Athlete Climate Academy, but then putting that to action. So what are some of the good things that you've done with Protect Our Winters, whether that's France or global, and how do you see them fitting into how athletes engage with communities to act?
Yeah. For me, now living in France, for me, it's hard because I don't speak well French, and then it's hard to get my voice like in the country. But like in Brazil, I work more with Greenpeace, like Brazil, so I get more involved. So with United Nations, I've been involved a lot. Also, I've done so many podcasts for Zen and interviews because I was a help Zen 2 years ago in a big event, run event, and for the planet. So I think it's for Protect Our Winter, for example, it's I travel a lot because it's for visiting these mountains, and also because my family is there in Brazil. And I know that I try to not travel so much, but it's impossible. But I just walk. I don't use car, you know, so I just walk. So I think each of us, you can do like these compensations, uh, so like not eating red meat, and so it's some details, or planting some trees. That is, I think, is the number one that you really needs right now. So I think like some action you can do, and then for your own, you know. And then as Protect Our Winter, if you have Zen in your country, it's super cool to get involved. Like to they show always like how can you go for the ski stations. You have all the trends like the public transports. You can be using Zen, and yeah, there are like many details and what they are fighting in Paris, for example. Is super, is cool, like to be signing some letters that they need for each topic that they are looking for to get a better environment here in France.
Yeah, it's one of the things that comes up in our conversations with athletes quite a lot is that being torn between doing the thing that you love and that you feel that you were kind of born to do, travel to the mountains and to run these races. And if you want to go to the Himalaya and you're based in France, what's the way to get there that's most reasonable um, and of the best value, both in time and in money and everything else. And of course, that's going to be flying over. But we often talk about the carbon footprint versus the carbon handprint. Like, what's the good that you can do with trips
Yeah.
like that? What's the can you work with foundations when you're there? Can you talk about it when you get back? And I think Protect Our Winters is definitely a good um, organization to work with and to come on podcasts like this and talk about the things that you've seen and the people and the foundations that you support and that kind of thing. That the handprint that can go along, the good work that you can do that goes along with not offsetting your carbon footprint. That's really difficult to offset carbon, but to do good work to suppose justify it and to not feel guilty all the time about it. I think we can tear ourselves apart inside from feeling guilty about the carbon footprint that we rack up.
Yeah.
So your work with them is great.
Yeah, so it was interesting for me also to calculate from my last year how much I produced. Right now, I don't remember the number, but maybe 4 point something. So that was super low. Well, I think. I said like, okay, so I don't feel more guilt because I get maybe 10 airplanes during the year, or maybe more, 12, but I'm camping, so I don't use electricity, So, and I just go by bike everywhere. So I don't eat red meat or meat. So it's like when you start to put this on paper and then realize, wow, I'm not doing so bad. But I think this is a good exercise that you can do for us, like to see also where you can get better or what you can do in the other points. And it's nice if you can share that also for your family and for your friends.
And also working with brands so closely that if you can work with your brands and in the outdoor world, what we can do to start to become more, have less of an impact, become, I don't want to say sustainable because I don't think that any manufacturing process can be truly sustainable.
Yeah.
But how we can lessen our impact whilst making apparel and working in that industry. And of course, the outdoor industry does have a huge impact on the environment. You can't have all these people running the same trails without having that impact. But again, it goes back to what we want people to be outside and experiencing nature and falling in love with it so that they want to protect it whilst also making sure that the impact is as low as possible. It's a really difficult balance between the two.
Yes, I agree. And the North Face is one of my sponsors, and we receive once per month, like all the actions they are doing to compensate. And yeah, I think each brand and like these big companies, they are trying like less package, like less plastic, more recycling. And yeah, that is, I think, is the minimum that they can do, and also bring more people to the environment, because then that is good. Then you have this balance, but it's very complicated because the big brands and companies, they you always uh, being negative, with environment.
Yeah, and we come back to this in every training session. In the one we did together last year, it's really complicated. A lot of companies are and individuals are trying their best, and I honestly think one of the best things we can do is to get out of each other's way and say we're all going to try and do the best that we can. Let's stop pointing fingers at each other and let's move forward together. So talking about moving forward, what is next for you and for White Flow? Hopefully some healing for you to do for your arm. So not getting back out there too quickly. But what's the next couple of cool projects you've got lined up?
I don't have yet. All the project White Flow, I work on them before, and also explain for my sponsor. So now I had this in Alaska that I failed. So I didn't do the summit that I want. I didn't finish the traverse that I want. So yes, maybe I come back to this one. But it's not a white flow project, but I'm going to Kenya in Africa. And I'll be 3 weeks there training with the marathon girls, the black girls in 10. And then I have a social action there with one guy. So he proposed me to that. And then, yeah, and I said yes. So I come back to Africa to do this training with these girls and to be helping them with like some support, financial support. And yeah. So yeah, I'm super excited because I love Africa. I love Black people. And then I have 2 races in Brazil that you'll be also excited myself. It's not a project, but it's a race. And then that is, it's amazing just to be in Brazil and to share also about my country. It's beautiful, the beaches and the mountains there, the Atlantic forest. I'll be running on the Atlantic forest. So I hope, yeah, you can follow and you can enjoy.
And I'm super interested in like there's been some really good politics news coming out of Brazil over the last couple of years. I'm really excited to see where that goes, for sure. But if people want to join you on that journey, where can they follow you and find you on social media?
Well, there is the White Flow Run. That is the Instagram of the project White Flow. So usually I post there about the running and also more the social, what I'm doing. And then in Fernanda Maciel underline official, that is my Instagram page that I share more about the performance, less about the social. And then the social I share a lot in the White Flow Run. So yes, you are all welcome to to do likes, to get involved, to click in the links that I help. It's yeah, it's super cool action, and I love to be doing these white flow projects.
And to find some inspiration too. It feels like in our day and age, it's difficult to find the positivity amongst all the negativity out there. And I feel like your page, and a few others, I think, I work with Killian here on Athlete Climate Academy. Killian's always got some really interesting, positive things going along on side the performance. And I see how he marries the performance and things like Athlete Climate Academy and the Killian Jornet Foundation. And I think you're just doing exactly the same thing where you've got these two really important things, and you're trying to weigh them up and where do I push one and push the other. And I think it's a really good template for athletes across the world to say, how can I have a positive impact while still being a performance athlete? It's a really good template, and I'd recommend everyone go and take a look at your Instagram and White Flow Run as well. Fernanda, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's a really interesting conversation, and I'll be following you on the social media with everything you do. Thanks so much.
Yeah, well, thank you for the podcast and congrats to you. It's bravo also what we have been doing and also how you get in touch with us and giving us this opportunity is well done for you.